Hey, love, if you are struggling to attract happy and healthy relationships, you're probably making this one crucial mistake. And that mistake is centering men in your pursuit of that healthy relationship. My name is Keisha Rice. I am a dating coach for ambitious women of faith. And when I talk about centering men, this may sound strange for me to say as a dating coach who works with mostly heterosexual women. But too often, a lot of the dating advice out there is about this is how you get a man. Use these strategies to attract a man. And the problem with that is when you make your focus solely about the man and not about you and the relationship that you want, a few things will happen. Centering men means that you are not operating from a place of feminine energy. Because when you operate from feminine energy is all about flow, it is about authenticity, about being yourself and showing the fullest, brightest version of yourself. When we center men in our dating lives, in our relationships, what happens is we have this tendency to make everything about them to the point that we lose ourselves a little bit in the process, to the point in which we don't show everything about us, who we truly are, because we're so concerned about what the man thinks. And then when you're doing that, the man isn't getting a full picture of you. So from the very beginning, you're already hosing your chances of this man loving you because you're so busy on dimming down yourself for him. Also, when we center men, we often end up settling for less. I see so many women who start off with great intentions. They are looking for a partner, they're looking for someone who is going to help them build a legacy, help them break generational curses, start a family with this person, create a legacy. And they get to the point where they're so focused on just getting a man, not getting the right man, that they end up settling for less. And this is the last thing you want. You deserve to have a full, beautiful, abundant life. And that includes your relationships as well. The other issue with with censoring men is that it stresses you out. Again, you now become someone who is being interviewed for the job of girlfriend or the job of wife. You become someone who is so focused and preoccupied over whether or not a person likes you instead of whether or not they are the right person for you. And because of that, you end up in this never ending performative cycle. Centering a man also means that you don't get your needs met. Because when you are centering a man, again, you end up focusing on and behaving in ways that make him happy. Don't get me wrong. If you are in a relationship, it is about making each other happy. Of course, I want to see my husband happy. Of course, I want him to be pleased with things in our relationship. But because he knows the real me, he is attracted to the real me. He is attracted to what I already am. He's attracted to the way that I already show up in our relationship. So it makes the relationship less work. And also because the way he loves me is the way in which I want to be loved. I didn't show up as something that I'm not. I made it clear how I needed to be loved and cherished, and he was able to do that. Then he's able to meet my needs. If I had shown up so obsessed over what it is that he wanted, what it was that he needed, and not making sure that those things were aligned with how I can love a person and not aligned with the ways in which I can give to a relationship, then he would have fallen in love with one version of me, and neither of us would have gotten our needs met when the real me showed up. So, how do you avoid this process of centering men? There are a few things that I want you to do. In fact, there are, looking at my notes here, there are five ways in which we can avoid centering men in relationships. One is to have boundaries and standards. So, when you are firm on your standards, what it is that you need in a relationship, when you are firm on your boundaries, what type of behavior you will and won't accept, then when you are clear about those, when you're clear about why they are so important to you and why you need to have these boundaries in place, then you won't shake from that in the dating process. And because you were unwilling to compromise on those things, because you make your needs, your expectations known, then whoever you end up with is someone who's going to be able to meet those needs, someone who doesn't mind, living up to those expectations, to those standards. And that allows you to, again, focus on what it is that you have to have in order to be thriving and healthy and cherished in a relationship. You also, in addition to having those boundaries, you want to prioritize your needs. So it's not just about having the needs and communicating them, but also making them a priority. As women, we are constantly told to be people pleasers, right? We are constantly told that that we should sacrifice our wants in favor of making somebody else happy. Look, relationships do sometimes involve compromise, but they do not mean sacrificing who you are for the sake of another person. You never need to set yourself on fire in order to keep somebody else warm. You also need to invest in your life outside of relationships. So, and outside of romantic relationships specifically. This means have interest. If you are a constant learner like me, then take up new things, learn new things, go to classes, take up new hobbies and interests. Find things that you enjoy outside of romantic relationships and things that you wouldn't mind enjoying on your own. My husband and I have a lot in common, and I love that. I love that there are so many different things that we can do together. But I also love that we have interests and hobbies that are not related to each other at all. I love poetry, for example. My husband's big into anime. That's not something that he and I share. So it's great that we have these times in which we can come together, but also having these times in which we can be apart. One, it makes us each our own person, and it makes it where we're not so codependent on each other. And also, it's interesting to just have this apart time because by having this time, we're able to miss each other. I love being apart from my husband sometimes and being able to come together and be like, hey, how was your day? What did you do? It's more interesting when we both have full lives that, not only obviously include each other, but also we have this time apart. We have separate friends as well, so that we can hear about each other's adventures and keep each other on our toes. You are also more attractive when you have other things going on in your life. You should never, ever in a relationship play hard to get. If you play stupid games, you're going to win stupid prizes. At the same time, you want to be hard to get. You want to be someone who has a lot going on for themselves. You want to be someone who is interesting, who has great stories, who has interesting passions and hobbies. And in that process, you will definitely be way more attractive and more magnetic. You also want to nurture your other relationships. No one person is supposed to be all things to another person. And when you have that setup where as soon as you get in a relationship, this person becomes your whole entire world, then you start to center them. And again, we end up in these negative behavior patterns of being codependent, of changing ourselves, of making huge sacrifices, doing whatever it takes to keep this other person in our lives, whether or not they deserve to really be in our lives. So when we have other relationships first, it relieves the pressure off the other person to not have to be all things to you. Again, I have great family members, so I have great family support. I have friends, I have coworkers. I have other people in my life so that if my husband is busy or if, I'm dealing with an issue that he can't really give me great advice on, there are other people that I can go to and that I can get support from. You also want to nurture your other relationships because a strong support system is important for any couple. So when you have friends who are in relationships, when you have friends who maybe have been married longer than you have, or you're still single and they're married, Sometimes it's great to have those types of people in your life to help you get healthy perspective when relationship pitfalls do happen. The other thing that you want to do, and the final tip that I have for you in this video, is to constantly up level your life. So we should always be growing and learning and developing. We didn't come to this earth in order to just stay stagnant and wait until we die, right? But in this process of always being willing to grow and to learn, you grow as a person and it makes you better in the relationships you have. The more I learn about the human mind, the more I learn about what I like and what I need, the more I learn about psychology, the better I am as a wife, as a daughter, as a friend, as a sister, all these relationships. But also because I am growing myself and because I'm constantly improving myself, I have that expectation in my husband as well. So it keeps my standards high. It keeps my expectations for a relationship high. If I'm putting in the work to grow and to become a better communicator, then yes, I expect my husband to be a better communicator as well. This works also while you're single and while you're dating. The more that you up level, the better your expectations and standards are going to be for anybody who comes in your life. And you're not just going to settle for anything. This is why it is so important that we stop centering men in our relationships if you are, of course, a heterosexual woman dating men. You know, if you want to learn more about what it means to operate in your feminine energy, I have a great video on that. I will put it on the screen. And if you just love this video, let me know in the comments section if you would like to see more on how to live in your feminine energy and how to better evolve your life. I'll talk to you soon. Love you so much.